Have you ever felt like you're running, but not sure where to? As if you're in a game, but the rules are unclear, the goal keeps changing, and you're never really winning. Maybe you've asked yourself, why does life feel so intense, so serious, so heavy? Alan Watts would smile at that question. He might lean in with a glint in his eye and say, because, my friend, you forgot. You forgot you're playing a game. Let that settle in for a moment. What if everything you're facing, every frustration, fear, setback, heartbreak, isn't really what it seems? What if it's all part of an elaborate illusion, a kind of cosmic theater? And you? You're not just the spectator in the audience. You're the actor, the writer, the dreamer who's forgotten they're dreaming. We're told from the start, be somebody, work hard, win the race, beat the odds, stay ahead, don't fall behind. And so, we take on a role. We build an identity. I am this, I am not that. I must do this, I must avoid that. And then, we suffer. We feel fear. We chase pleasure. We run from pain. We get lost in comparison, pressure, expectation, survival. But Alan Watts, philosopher, rebel, spiritual troublemaker, said this is the great forgetting. You forgot you're not the role you're playing. You're not the script. You're the actor, the eternal awareness behind the mask. And life? It's not a prison. It's a play. Watts often joked that trying to get rid of your ego with your ego is like trying to bite your own teeth. It's a trap. And yet, that's what many of us are doing every day. Trying to fix ourselves. Trying to be better. Trying to stop feeling afraid, or stop being anxious, or stop being broken. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control life, the more life controls you. The more you resist fear, the more it wraps itself around you like a snake. The more you try to escape suffering, the more you suffer. Why? Because you're fighting shadows. You're fighting scenes in a movie, forgetting you're sitting in the theater. There's something Watts said that hits like a quiet thunder. You are the universe playing a game of hide and seek with itself. Just think about that. You are it, the whole thing. And you chose to forget. You chose to come into this life, to forget your divine nature, to get lost in drama, conflict, love, heartbreak, triumph, and failure, not because you were being punished, but because you wanted the thrill of rediscovering what you already are. You signed up for the ride, and you forgot. Most people treat fear as a malfunction, like something's gone wrong. I'm scared, so something must be broken. But Alan Watts flips that idea upside down. Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is part of the game, a part of the adventure. Imagine playing a video game that was only calm. No risk, no conflict, no surprises. It would be boring. What makes it exciting is the not knowing, the risk, the challenge. You didn't come here to live a flat life. You came here to feel, to experience, to lose and to rise again, to fall in love, get your heart broken, and somehow still smile. Watts believed that fear is sacred, that behind every anxiety is a cosmic reminder. Wake up. This is part of it. This isn't permanent. This isn't who you are. One of the most radical ideas Alan Watts ever suggested was this. You helped write this script, not consciously, not in your everyday thinking mind, but at a deeper level of your being. You chose to be you, to play this character, to experience this exact path, with all its tears and ecstasies, all its stuckness and breakthroughs, and the only real suffering is forgetting that it's all a performance. You mistake the costume for your real skin. You start believing your own mask. And when that happens, life feels unbearably serious. Every problem feels like the end. Every loss feels permanent. Every rejection feels like death. But none of that is real. It's real emotionally, yes. But existentially, it's a scene, a moment, a fleeting cloud on the screen of awareness. So, what if you remembered? What if right now you took a breath and just allowed yourself to see your life as a scene in the theater? The arguments, the panic, the deadlines, the heartbreak, the insecurities. They're real, but they're not ultimate. What if you softened into that awareness? What if you stopped needing to fix it all and instead remembered you're here to feel, to experience, to wake up? This is just the beginning. Because remembering you're in the game is only step one. Next, we dive deeper into what Alan Watts called metaphysical courage, the sacred bravery not to fight life, but to stand inside it, fully present, fully human, and completely free. So if you're ready to explore that, stay with me. Part 2 is where the real transformation begins. What if courage wasn't what you thought it was? Not the chest-puffed, sword-swinging kind we see in movies, not the battle cry before a fight, but something softer, quieter, more terrifying, and more transformative. Alan Watts called it metaphysical courage. And it's the kind of bravery that has nothing to do with fighting the world, and everything to do with facing yourself. We grow up believing that courage means taking action. It means doing something. Facing a lion, starting a business, jumping out of an airplane. Yes, those are all forms of courage. But Watts pointed to another kind. One that doesn't get applause. One that won't go viral. One that feels like standing naked in the middle of a storm and choosing not to run. It's not the courage to act. It's the courage to not react, to not run from fear, to not suppress sadness, to not deny the ache in your chest when you feel utterly lost. This is metaphysical courage. You were taught that when fear shows up, something's gone wrong. You were taught to solve it, to distract yourself, to stay strong, to push through it, to get busy and ignore the sensation. But Alan Watts reveals a deeper truth. Fear is not a problem. Fear is not a flaw. Fear is not weakness. Fear is simply sensation, energy, movement in the body. It's like the heat you feel near a fire, automatic, natural, neutral. The problem isn't fear. It's what we do with it. We resist it. We wrap stories around it. This means I'm weak. This means I'll fail. This means I'm broken. And resistance? That's the real pain. Because what you resist persists, and what you run from chases you. Have you ever noticed how often we try to escape emotions? We open the fridge when we're lonely. We scroll endlessly when we're bored. We chase dopamine, likes, notifications, entertainment. Anything to not feel the truth that's bubbling up beneath the surface. Watts calls this the inner hell of resistance. Not because emotion is hell, but because our war against emotion is. We try to fight sadness. We try to conquer fear. We try to deny anger. And in doing so, we cut ourselves in half. We fragment. We armor up. We lose access to our own aliveness. But imagine this. Instead of tightening up, you soften. Instead of pushing away fear, you sit with it. Not to analyze it, not to fix it, but simply to feel. That is metaphysical courage, and it changes everything. Real courage is not absence of fear, it's presence with fear. It's standing in front of your deepest wound and saying, I see you, I'm not running. It's not pretending everything's fine. It's not forcing positivity, it's allowing pain to exist in your body without shame. Watts would say, don't try not to be afraid. Just stop being afraid of your fear. That shift alone can unravel years of tension. Because the moment you stop resisting, fear softens. It begins to move. It flows instead of freezes. Centuries ago, the samurai of Japan were not just warriors, they were students of Zen. Why? Because they knew that true mastery wasn't just of the sword, but of the self. They trained not just to kill, but to remain present, even in the face of death. To stay grounded, still, conscious, even when their life was on the line. Alan Watts admired that discipline. He spoke of ultimate nerve, the ability to walk through hell, not because you're unafraid, but because you've made peace with fear itself. This isn't about becoming a samurai in armor. It's about becoming a samurai in spirit, being able to sit in discomfort, without trying to change it, without trying to escape it, without losing yourself in it. This is the spiritual warrior's path, and it is open to you right now. So, how do we begin? It starts small, with the next uncomfortable emotion that arises. You feel a wave of anxiety. You don't label it. You don't push it down. You don't grab your phone. You don't run. You breathe. You observe. You allow. You feel the heat of the emotion like the warmth of a flame, without flinching. You become the space in which the emotion moves. You realize, this is not bigger than me. This is happening inside me. I am not it. I am witnessing it. And this is the beginning of true spiritual freedom. You see, freedom isn't found in controlling your life. It's found in surrendering to it, to every feeling, every sensation, every moment. But if fear is not the enemy, then why do we keep coming back to it? Why does worry feel endless, like a bottomless pit? In part 3, we explore the anxiety mind, why your thoughts never stop racing, and how to end the war in your head once and for all. If you're ready to peel back the next layer of the illusion, I'll meet you there. Have you ever noticed that no matter how many problems you solve, there's always one more waiting around the corner? That even on your best days, there's still that quiet hum of tension beneath the surface? A part of you always bracing, always expecting the next thing to go wrong. This is not a glitch. This is not just you. This is the anxious mind. And today we're going to understand it and finally begin to unravel it. Alan Watts described the anxious mind as an infinite onion. You peel back one layer of worry and another appears. You solve one issue and a new one instantly fills its place. Worry about money, then health, then relationships, then your purpose, then the fact that you're worrying too much. And before you know it, worry becomes your identity. It becomes the air you breathe, the background noise of your existence. You start to believe that worrying is how you show care, that it means you're being responsible, being prepared, being smart. But Watts challenges that entire framework. You've been sold a dangerous illusion, that if you worry enough, you'll somehow stay safe. That if you stay alert, if you anticipate every possible problem, you'll avoid disaster. But here's the truth, and it's brutal. Worry doesn't prevent pain. It creates it. You can worry about losing a job and still lose it. You can worry about your health and still get sick. You can worry about your future and still be blindsided. Worry offers the illusion of control but delivers only suffering. Because in reality, worry is not preparation. It's resistance. It's a refusal to be with the present moment, a denial of what is. Here's a painful truth that most people never want to admit. We are addicted to anxiety. We've grown so accustomed to tension, so used to the feeling of internal pressure, that the moment peace arises, we feel restless. Stillness feels wrong. Silence feels threatening. Relaxation feels irresponsible. Because somewhere deep down we were taught, if you're not worrying, you're not trying hard enough. And so, even when life gives us space to breathe, we fill it with noise. We manufacture problems. We imagine worst-case scenarios. We scroll, click, distract, dramatize, because peace feels unfamiliar. But let's go deeper. Let's ask the question most people are too afraid to ask. What would happen if you truly had nothing to worry about? If everything was fine? If you weren't chasing, fixing, managing, resisting, who would you be? For many, the answer is terrifying. I don't know. And this is the root of the anxious mind. It's not just fear of what might go wrong. It's fear of the void, fear of spaciousness, fear of presence. Because in presence, there's no story to hold on to, no identity to reinforce, no distraction from the truth that you are already whole. And that wholeness is frightening because it demands you let go. Let go of control, let go of tension, let go of the endless loop of worry that has defined you. So how do we escape this loop? We don't. We stop trying to escape. Instead, we observe. We watch the anxiety rise without following it. We feel the tension in the chest without labeling it. We notice the spiraling thoughts without believing them. And in that stillness, something miraculous happens. Worry loses its grip. Alan Watts didn't teach people how to fix anxiety. He taught them how to watch it, to become the observer instead of the participant. You don't have to change the anxious mind. You have to stop identifying with it. You are not your worry. You are not your fear. You are the awareness behind it all. Watts said the key isn't resistance, it's contemplation. Instead of fighting your emotions, admire them. Look at your fear like you'd watch a storm roll across the sky. Look at your anxiety like you'd watch a wave crash on the shore. Observe the movement, feel the energy, and allow it to pass. Because the more you resist, the more you suffer. But the more you observe, the more you reclaim your power. And here's the ultimate paradox. The moment you stop trying to control your experience, you discover the peace you were chasing all along. So if your mind feels heavy, if you're tired of being tired, if you're exhausted by the endless loop of what if, there is a way out. Not through effort, not through force, but through awareness. Observe the mind, feel the body, allow the moment. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to heal everything. You just need to wake up from the trance of worry. But there's still one illusion we haven't dismantled. A belief that hides in plain sight and keeps us trapped in fear. The belief that worry equals responsibility. That if you don't worry, you're being reckless, irresponsible, immature, naive. In part 4, we break down the greatest lie of all and uncover the truth that will set you free. Join me in the next chapter of the journey. Have you ever been told, you worry because you care, you're just being responsible? That it's normal, even noble, to carry the weight of everything on your shoulders? What if I told you that was the biggest lie you've ever believed? Because what most people call responsibility is actually self-inflicted suffering. Let's unravel this illusion. Let's expose the truth. Let's set you free from the trap that has kept you in fear your entire life. From the time we're children, we're taught something subtle but deeply dangerous. That worry equals care. That stress equals commitment. That suffering equals maturity. Think about it. The person who's always tense, always overthinking, always anxious, is praised as being responsible. The one who's calm, who trusts life, who doesn't panic. They're labeled as careless, irresponsible, immature. So we internalize this twisted logic. If I'm not stressed, I must not care enough. If I don't feel guilt, I must be selfish. If I'm not anxious, I'm being irresponsible. This belief becomes a prison, and you live inside it for years. maybe your whole life. But here's what Alan Watts invites us to consider. There's a huge difference between responsibility and reactivity. Responsibility is grounded. It's clear. It's intentional. You see a problem and you act. You do what you can, when you can, how you can. And when it's done, you let it go. Reactivity, on the other hand, is blind. It's emotional, it's chaotic. You panic, you obsess, you loop, you drain your energy worrying about things you can't control. And the worst part? You call it being responsible. But it's not responsibility. It's attachment. It's your ego refusing to let go. Here's a question most people never ask. Why are we so addicted to struggle? Why do we believe that if something isn't hard, it's not valuable? Why do we feel guilty when things feel easy? Because we've equated pain with meaning. And this is one of the most toxic mental habits we carry. But Watts reminds us, life is not a punishment. It's not a test. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a play, a performance, a dance. And the moment you stop treating it like a battlefield, you start to enjoy the music. So what does real responsibility look like? It's not worrying all day about your family. It's being present with them when you're with them. It's not obsessing over your work when you're off the clock. It's giving your best while you're there and resting when it's time. It's not mentally rehearsing every disaster. It's trusting yourself to handle things as they come. Responsibility is not carrying the weight of the world. It's knowing which parts are yours and letting go of the rest. It's calm. It's quiet. It's composed. And it doesn't need to be loud or painful to be real. One of the clearest examples of this illusion is in the mother archetype. So many mothers and people who play caregiver roles believe they must suffer to prove their love. That to be a good mother, partner, friend, you have to be exhausted, burnt out, anxious, overwhelmed, because if you're not suffering, it must mean you're not giving enough. This belief is poison. It doesn't lead to more love. It leads to resentment, depletion, and burnout. Love doesn't require suffering. Care doesn't require worry. You don't have to sacrifice your peace to prove your value. Your presence, calm, grounded, loving, is more powerful than 1,000 hours of worry. Imagine this. A warrior sits beneath a tree. He's not panicking, not fidgeting, not worrying, but he's ready. His sword is sharp, his mind is clear, his body is rested. That is true responsibility. It's not being tense all the time. It's being ready without being afraid. Watts teaches us that this kind of relaxed presence is actually more powerful than stress, because from a calm mind, you act with wisdom. From a tense mind, you react with fear. So how do we let go of this illusion? First, you recognize it. You see how you've mistaken worry for care. You see how you've worn stress like a badge of honor. Then, you pause. You ask yourself, is this really my responsibility, or just my conditioning? Am I trying to control what I cannot control? Am I adding suffering to a moment that doesn't require it? And finally, you release. You choose trust. You choose peace. You choose presence. Not because you don't care, but because you care wisely. You've seen the trap. You've pulled back the curtain. You've felt the power of choosing calm over chaos. But now, it's time to go even deeper. Because behind all this, behind the worry, behind the illusion of responsibility, lies the most profound realization. You are not the thinker. In Part 5, we'll explore the most radical teaching of all, that you are not your thoughts. And the moment you understand this, your mind and your life will never be the same. Close your eyes for a moment and notice something subtle but powerful. There's a voice in your head. It talks constantly. It worries, it plans, it judges, it compares. It narrates your life like a never-ending radio broadcast. Now here's the real question. Who is listening to that voice? Because the moment you can observe your thoughts, you realize something shocking. You are not them. Let's dive deep into one of Alan Watts's most powerful teachings, a truth that every awakened soul eventually discovers. You are not the thinker. You are the witness. Your mind is an incredible tool. It solves problems. It creates art. It imagines, remembers, and analyzes. But that tool has become your tyrant. You've been conditioned to believe that every thought is important, that you must follow each one, that you are responsible for every voice that pops into your head. But thoughts are like clouds. They come, they go, they change, they contradict each other, and yet we treat them like gospel, like truth. But they are not you. They are not truth. They are noise. Real power begins the moment you learn to watch them without believing them. Let's try something. Think of your last negative thought. Maybe it was fear, or self-doubt, or judgment. Now, remember, you noticed it, which means there's a part of you beyond that thought, a still, silent awareness that simply watches. That is your true self, not the noise, not the panic, not the voice in your head, but the awareness behind it all. This is what Alan Watts meant when he said, "You are the universe looking at itself." Not a bag of opinions, not a story, not a name or a title, but pure awareness, calm, clear, unchanging. So why do we suffer so much? Because we identify with the mind. We think, I am the failure. I am not good enough. I am scared. But you are none of those things. You are simply experiencing those thoughts, the way you might watch a movie. The suffering comes not from the thought, but from clinging to it, from believing it, from wrapping your identity around it. Alan Watts said it best. You do not have to overcome the mind. You just have to stop identifying with it. Let the mind talk, let it whisper, let it shout, and simply watch. This is where meditation comes in. Not as a technique, not as a religion, but as a simple unlearning. You sit, you watch, you let the mind do its dance, and you do nothing. You don't resist, you don't attach, you simply observe. And in that space, a miracle begins to happen. The thoughts lose their grip. The fear loses its sting. The noise begins to fade. And what remains is you, the real you, silent, peaceful, vast. There's a huge difference between mental noise and true intelligence. Mental noise is chaotic. It reacts, it worries, it jumps from past to future. But true intelligence rises from stillness. It doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from thinking less. When your mind is quiet, you see clearly, you understand deeply, you respond wisely. This is the paradox. The less you believe your thoughts, the more intelligently you live. Because wisdom isn't loud, it's quiet, it's present, it's clear. But here's the twist. The mind, the ego, is terrified of stillness, because in silence, it disappears. So it creates drama, it creates stories. It says, think about this, worry about that. Don't stop thinking. Because if you stop, even for a second, you might realize the truth, that you've been free all along. You've just been hypnotized, not by life, not by the world, but by your own thinking. And now, you're waking up. Watts reminds us, trying to control your thoughts is like trying to smooth out the ocean with an iron. It's not about fighting them. It's not about resisting. It's about watching them pass by, like birds in the sky, like traffic on a street. They come, they go. You remain, unmoved, untouched, free. This is the deepest freedom, not the absence of thought, but the absence of attachment. You don't need to fix every thought. You just need to stop confusing them for yourself. Now that you've stepped back from the noise, now that you've remembered who you are behind the thoughts, it's time to take the final leap. Because when you stop resisting, when you stop clinging to control, something magical happens. Life begins to move through you. In part 6, we'll explore how surrender isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength, the ultimate flow state, the real secret to happiness. Let go and let life carry you. You've been taught your whole life that control equals strength, that planning leads to success, that clinging tightly ensures survival. But what if the ultimate power is in surrender? What if letting go isn't giving up, but waking up? Alan Watts believed that surrender is not weakness, it's not passivity, it's not defeat, it's trust. And when you trust life, life begins to carry you. Let's explore what it truly means to let go, and how surrender becomes your gateway to freedom, peace, and flow. We think we're in charge. We plan everything. Our days, our careers, our relationships. We draw maps, set goals, chase outcomes. But deep down, you know this. Life doesn't follow your script. It never did. Things change. People leave. Plans collapse. And every time that happens, you suffer. Why? Because you believed you were the author of the universe. You thought your control could prevent pain. But control is an illusion, and clinging to it only guarantees suffering. Alan Watts reminds us, to have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, you relax and float. Look at nature. A river doesn't try to rush or pause. It flows, it curves, it adapts. A tree doesn't force its growth. It just reaches, slowly, upward. The seasons don't resist each other. They rotate in harmony, without struggle. So why do we think we must fight, force, and control? You are nature too. And the secret is this. When you let go of control, you return to your natural state. Flow. Flow isn't laziness. Flow is effortless power. It's the intelligence of the universe moving through you. Many people hear surrender and think it means giving up. But that's not true surrender. Real surrender is deeply conscious. It means saying, I am here, fully. I will do my part. But I will not fight reality. It's a dance, not a battle. You move with life, not against it. You still take action. But from presence, not panic. From trust, not tension. You let life meet you halfway. Alan Watts put it like this. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Stop stirring the chaos, and clarity returns. To surrender, you must also let go of something deeper. Your identity. That voice in your head that says, I must succeed. I can't fail. I need to prove myself. I have to be somebody. This is the ego, a fragile construction of stories and fears. But here's the truth. You don't have to be anything. You already are. The sky doesn't prove its blueness. The sun doesn't justify its light. And you are enough without trying. When you surrender the need to be someone, you finally become everything. Free, present, alive. So what happens when you truly let go? The anxiety drops, the noise fades, and peace quietly arrives. You stop trying to force happiness, and happiness begins to find you. You stop chasing meaning, and meaning rises from the moment itself. You stop resisting pain, and pain becomes a teacher, not an enemy. This is the paradox. When you stop trying to control life, life begins to work for you. It brings you the right people, the right moments, the right insights, not when you expect them, but when you're ready. And your readiness comes from surrender. There's so much we don't know, so much we can't control, and that's okay. Watts taught, the mystery of life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Can you let life be mysterious? Can you embrace the unknown without fear? Because when you stop demanding answers, you begin to see beauty. When you stop needing certainty, you start to feel free. Not knowing becomes thrilling, not threatening, and you realize you don't need to figure it all out. You just need to show up, fully, openly, honestly. So now the game has changed. You're no longer playing to win. You're playing to play. You're no longer chasing outcomes. You're flowing with the experience. You're no longer seeking meaning from the outside. You're creating meaning through your presence. This is the ultimate hack, the final teaching. Let go. Trust the dance. And watch how life begins to dance with you. You are not here to fight life. You are here to feel it, to move with it, to express it. So surrender, not in weakness, but in wisdom. Let the river carry you. Because when you stop resisting, you begin to live.